Hello, welcome to the Pint Patter podcast, where our patters pish, but our pints aren't. To introduce ourselves, I'm Caden, and I'm joined by my co-host, Dino.
Hello, hello. Welcome back again. And this one, episode 23.
Yes.
We got some interesting topics, a um, bit more deep, a bit more to go into.
Yes.
But yeah,
Subjective.
mhm.
And imminent, I suppose.
Yeah. So yeah, the main topic. Do you want to go over it?
Oh yes.
Tell us.
Last day on Earth is the topic. Just gonna chat through a few things. Like, for
Oh,
example, I'll start by talking about a Last Supper. So, it's a lot of scenarios. I think they've got rid of it in a lot of like prisons about like Last Suppers when they before they get like whatever if they're in death sentence or not. But, like, let's just assume we know we're dying terminally and we get to have our last dinner or something. We know we're gonna die on that day. So I went for there's a lot of things running through my mind, and surprisingly, my last meal. None of it's actually spicy, despite my love for spicy stuff. But there is a lot of meat.
okay.
So I got Maryland chicken from like Jimmy Chung's because that's probably one of the few places I've got Maryland chicken and it's amazing. Uh, Chinese takeaway ham fried rice. That shit's fucking superb. Chicken satay skewers and a pint glass you get with a 3 pinter of milk that I can use to pour into it. And for dessert, coffee cake. That would be my last supper. That would
That's
just
good.
be. Uh,
Aye, Last Supper's an interesting one because you don't want to go for something that you've been having quite regularly.
yeah.
Um, like if you were to ask me, uh, would I fancy what I've gone for my last supper today? I'd be like, nah, I'm not really. I wouldn't be in the mood for that because I know I could have that later on. Um, but I think for my last supper, I'd probably go for um a chicken curry made by my mother, which is just wow, just a sensational home dish. That, it's not the same to like any other chicken curry I've had anywhere else.
Mhm.
There's something about that. Definitely my mother's chicken curry. I'd probably chuck in some hash browns on the side. I've loved hash browns for yonks. They're always a solid choice. And then some like southern fried chicken of some sort, either wee pieces or, you know, um, strips, something like that. And for my drink, I'd go for like an iron brew. Which, speaking of drinks, I suppose I should crack open my tinny.
About fucking time.
Aye. But yeah, I think that'd be my last supper. I'm one for um not eating a lot of food in one go. I pick at things
Hmm.
'cause I get full quite easily. I feel like in a Last Supper scenario, I would overbuy or over order a lot of stuff and then just have wee nitpickets
Yeah,
of bits
be real
go
bad
from
for
one
that.
thing to the other. So I would definitely have a shit ton left. And I'd be
Hmm.
by the end of it.
I used to be like that. Now I try to like just so my liver can have a rest when it's processing what I've just eaten. As what I was told by a nurse. Like, if you can, try not to eat like a lot between like meals and stuff. So when I get this big plate of food, I try and demolish it there. But I'm not one that's known for eating a lot in their own home.
Mm-hmm.
So I just eat it and I'm immediately like, oh. Or else if I'm out at Jimmy Chung's, for example, where I'll get the Maryland chicken and all this other chicken and stuff, I'd happily spend my money's worth getting like 3 plates worth of food and go home. And that'd be the only thing I ate that day. It's just there's something about being out where my thirst for drink, whether normal drink or alcoholic beverage and food, just goes up. Like my cake capacity. But if I'm at home, I feel like I'm just too bored to eat. Or like not bored, but like don't have the motivation to.
Aye. I know what you mean.
But yeah, like I could go Last Supper right now, but like as I say, like they're the sort of food that I wouldn't have in a winner, especially with the
No.
amount of like calories that would be. Just a free pint of milk by itself would be.
Mm. I feel like um I'd have like another drink than just Iron Brew actually. I'd probably have Iron Brew for like um just sort of midway through the meal, just a couple of sips and that. I'd
Mm-hmm.
I'll have another one probably with just a rum and coke.
Uh,
Once I'm finished, I can just go right. I'll finish with this. Yeah. But generally when I have meals, I don't actually drink that often in the middle of my meal.
oh,
I wait a while and then I'm like, okay, now I'll have a drink.
I get really dehydrated when I'm eating.
Hmm.
Like if I eat like half a plate of food and I haven't drunk, I literally sat there hoaching like I need water or something. Especially dry food.
Yeah.
That's why one con with Jimmy Chung's is the small drink they give you with your meal, and I'm like, I can finish this drink after like half a plate already.
Uh,
So unless they give me like next time it's open, if it's ever open again due to the pandemic, um, maybe just splash some bloody glasses of water. Aye.
if you're ever out with me and you see me eating a meal, if I go to take a sip of my drink, you already know I'm I'm starting to get full. That's uh that's roughly like when I go for a drink. Just try and wash it down a bit and then make space.
Saying that, I have this like routine with my breakfast where I have like this sandwich with cereal, and what I'll do is I'll eat all the cereal, right? But I leave like the milk that's in it, and then I'll eat the sandwich after I've eaten the actual chewable stuff of the cereal. And I'll
Hmm.
once I'm done the sandwich, then I'll drink up the fucking milk to finish it off. It's really like that. Like I can if I'm drinking throughout a meal, yeah, I'm drinking throughout a meal, but I won't end the meal with eating the food and not drinking. I'll still eat at the I'll still drink at the end of the meal. I need to wash it away. Oh, yeah.
What else for a last day on Earth?
Last activity, I believe,
Yeah.
and mine I would like to do just like even now, whether I do it ever, even if it's a bad experience or not, just a pub crawl. Well, a bunch of
Oh,
people never done one, always wanted to do one, and just the idea of doing it as your last day as an activity, you're getting about, you're constantly seeing new stuff, you're constantly doing different, maybe doing different drinks, talking to people. You might end up at different tables with different people if you're doing a pub crawl with a lot of people. I just feel like it'd be a good last day activity. Like
yeah.
I was thinking of a lot of stuff with activity as well, like swimming and all that. But like if it had to be the last thing I do during the day or night rather, it would be the pub and then night off of that.
Hmm. That's definitely one of my things. I would just go on an absolute mental sesh. Just a mad one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just keep drinking until the day's done. That's it. Just one mental. But I definitely want to have a ton of people there. Like mind my 21st, there was a fucking ton of people
At
there, man.
least 13.
Aye, at least just get as many people as possible and just go on a sesh.
Absolute
Have
spree.
be mixing drinks, some shots, all sorts. There's no worries.
Hmm.
It would definitely take the edge off with it being a last day.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think it's one of the easiest ones to come up with in a
Yeah.
scenario where, um, like it's your last day. I feel like you're going to spend quite a bit of time being like, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want? You spend a lot of time deciding unless you've decided prior and you've had to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think some people will just be trying to think about. the perfect one. Although in some scenarios, it's not always going to be perfect. You can just have a sesh and just see what happens. You know,
Yeah.
every every sesh is different. You get mad stories, so you go for a mad.
Last night. People
Aye.
remember you. It's last day.
mind I mind at a stag do once. Um, everyone had to do like a massive picture essentially. Um, you would pick what you wanted to down, like this massive um horn,
Mm.
um, and you would just tank the whole thing. I think when I went to do it, I was thinking about doing like rum and coke. I was like, aye, fuck it, fuck it, I'll do that. And they were like, no, you definitely should not do that. I just did cider instead. But something like that. So on the last day, I'd probably get everyone to do one of those. Just tank a massive glass
Sounds
of some beverage.
amazing.
Hmm.
Good fun.
Definitely good fun. But see if I was to have like one of these pub crawls,
Hmm.
or just sitting somewhere and drinking till the end of the day, I'd probably want to be somewhere that has tunes on, not like pop tunes or stuff like
Yeah.
that, but like somewhere that's playing some rock stuff or some classic rock or metal or somewhere that has a jukebox, and then we can just flood it with the best stuff. Um, because I would certainly throughout that whole day I would have music on, whether it's by a headphone or speakers of some sort. There's a lot of times where, in general, just now, like I'm always listening to new stuff. I'm always trying to
Hmm.
find this and trying to keep things fresh. But every now and again I'll listen to some of my favorite stuff. Just I don't listen to my very favorite stuff quite a lot, quite often as some people might think. It just keeps it fresh for when you do go back because you go back and you're like, fucking hell, this really is good. You sort of forget how good it is because you leave it that bit longer.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's what would definitely make the listening to it on the last day better as well. Absolute favorite stuff. You're not gonna be sick of it.
Definitely not.
Be a bit of karaoke maybe.
Oh. Oh
Oh,
no.
you know what? I used to not like karaoke a wee bit, and then one day I was just like, oh fuck it, started giving it beatings.
I used to like karaoke, but now I fucking hate it.
You've swapped with
I
me.
dread it.
You dread.
And maybe if I'm sober, but I don't
Hmm.
know.
Funny seeing your mates sing as well.
Yeah, and get
When
video
you
of them
look
as
at
well.
the footage, when you look at the footage back, you're like, oh no.
Oh, they don't know how bad they sound.
No, that's the thing with like loud music. The actual volume itself can often cover um a bit of the quality.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, and because I mind having the video of the Old Town Road, our two mates singing, and you can sort of hear them just over the actual music, and they were not in sync nor tone. What wasn't happening.
Yeah,
They had a blast, but they
aye,
never want
that's
to see
that's
that
the main
video.
thing. I don't think they want to.
Yeah.
Uh, aye. How do you feel you would feel on the last day?
Ooh. It's a bit weird because whether I've been knowing it's coming for weeks that is my last day, or it just happens to me waking up that morning and I've been told you're gonna die. is completely two different things. There's one you can prepare for it and you can plan for that last day and what it'll be. And I would feel definitely gutted that it'd be my last day. I'd be like, ah,
Yep.
shit, man. But I'd probably accept it, to be honest. But
Feel like,
then again, you never know how you're feeling until you know what's happening to you. I'd like to
yeah,
think I would accept it, but I can never know. I do feel like, however, if it's just sprung on me and I'm just told this is your last day, you're gonna die when it hits 23,
it's much more
59,
painful.
99.
Yeah.
99? 23, 59, 59, isn't it?
uh, 23, 59, 99, yeah. 99?
Is it 59, 59?
59.
Yeah,
Yeah.
brain fart. Um, but yeah, just like
Yeah,
if it was just
yeah,
sprung me, I'd
yeah,
be a bit
yeah,
like frazzled and like out of place. But by like halfway into the day, or a few hours, just knowing what's happening, I'd just be like, right, time to go and drink, or time to see people I know and explain to them shit like that. And then just I don't know, I've no idea.
aye. It's hard to gauge because you just don't know until fully faced with it. And I mind hearing do you remember that emergency like message that would pop up in people's phones in America? This is a while back, a couple of months back, where it was like, "Oh, missile incoming" or something like that, and it was like um one of those message warnings
I think so.
for like a nuke or something. And I mind seeing Jim Carrey. He went on a talk show after this and briefly spoke about it, how he got this message and he sort of just accepted that that was it for him. Because I think he was on an island or something like that. There was no real way of him like escaping or getting somewhere safe. So he just sort of, I think he just accepted it in that moment. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, then obviously he found out that it wasn't real. It was a test. But
Hmm.
yeah, I feel like it'd be quite a scary thing. Um, but yeah, I think if it's quite sudden knowing about it, I feel like it would always sit in the back of my head. I'd be doing stuff throughout that day, um, and I'd be making sure that I'm doing something.
Hmm.
Um, and then every so often it'll just appear in my head, and I'm like, no, no, go away, stop thinking about it. Just enjoy it, you know. I feel like that's how I'd be.
Yeah.
Try and bury it, but it would keep appearing.
You just have mad anxiety for that one.
Hmm.
That's why I think if you're living your last day and you know you're dying, to take away from that anxiety, drink or
Yep.
some sort of like substitution for alleviating anxiety and stuff is probably the best for the last day. But there's probably some people out there that are like, I want to be fully conscious for the rest of my last day and probably want to stay with their family and that. Like, definitely, like, if it was my last day, I would definitely want to like see all my family for the last time or shit like that.
Yeah, have family involved,
Yeah,
definitely. Family, close friends.
definitely. Um, there's always a lot of like TV shows and movies like that concept like Last Day on Earth. Like,
Mm.
um, I've never watched any of them because I always thought it'd be is like this really dreary concept. It's like, what are you gonna do on that last day? It's like how long are you gonna pace this for if it's just one day that they're talking about?
Aye. Obviously, you get the sort of scenario of the last day where if it's a prison and it's like an electric chair,
Mm,
there's a lot of limitations as to what you can do. I
yeah,
think they are quite open in terms of Last Supper, their last meal.
I think the last meal thing in America at least, I think a lot of the prisons just have gotten rid of it because they've made absolutely ridiculous like requests. Like they've requested a food that they are allergic to. So they would give them the food and they would have an allergic reaction and then they couldn't execute them because they have
Yep.
to be executed in perfectly healthy condition.
Aye, crazy. Wonder how much drink you could order.
Alcoholic, I
Like,
think they can't
yeah, they can't at all. Nah.
because yeah, again, it separates you from being like a healthy, physically healthy being. You become drunk,
Hmm.
intoxicated.
Can I have 16 double Morgans and Coke, please?
Like I think there are some really weird last meals. I'll look it up just now and tell you I believe there was a guy that only, yeah, here it is, a single olive they requested for their last meal.
Single olive,
A single olive. He,
not multiple.
yeah, like, and he was hanged by the neck. That's how he died afterwards. He had kidnapped and murder, and he simply asked for a single olive with a pit in it. Um, some other guy asked for an assorted bag of Jolly Ranchers. Stuff like that. It's just weird. Um, there's just a lot of weird ones, really.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many people you can request to be there during it.
Oh, like at the execution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
part of me would be like, part of me would be like, I don't want them to be there. I don't want them to see them, but at the same time, I don't want them to not be there in the last moments. Um, of a catch-22, I'd certainly
Hmm.
ask people and say, I would make sure to say if you don't want to be there, um, it's fine, you know, just if you want to be here with me, type
Hmm.
thing.
So I'm looking at it, and apparently, I was thinking, does a person related to you have to be there, or is it by choice? And does the person who's getting executed have a choice no matter of who watches? I think a prison warden, medical personnel, spiritual advisor, prison guards, and relatives of the victims can be there. I don't think the relatives of the victims have to be there, and neither do relatives of the prisoner.
Mhm.
Not entirely sure. But I also think official group of reputable citizens are part of that equation as well. You always see a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Just the way of executions used to be as well, because you would have obviously the one I said there, the one who ordered like an olive with a pit in it, he was hung to death.
Yeah.
Whereas there was other things, especially during like Green Mile film, you'd see is folk getting executed via electrocution, and there was a certain way of going about it where if you didn't wet somebody's head with a sponge, I can't mind if they keep the sponge on it or they just wet it and then they put on the helmet to electrocute them. That'll make it like a safe and sound death. Like it'll affect the person dying, I believe, but it'll be better than if they hadn't wet them. Because I think if they hadn't wet them, it can actually sometimes keep them alive a lot longer, if not just not dying. And plus, it can burn them severely. I believe, maybe wrong, but like then there's lethal injections, which is always like oof because it's not happening to you suddenly, and it's not like just sort of there, like rustling you about like being hung. Lethal injection is like being injected with an anesthetic, where you can slowly feel it start happening to you. It'd be such a surreal like last day as having this like feeling going up your arm to your body, knowing that's death creeping up on you.
Yep.
It's surreal to think about.
Aye.
Then there's the olden days with executions via beheading. That was the norm.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Guillotine.
Heading. Whether it's, yeah, the guillotine, that's what I was about to say. Like if you're trapped in that, you can't quite look up to see you're just looking at the crowd
Yeah.
or whoever's in front.
Then there's some of the most awful executions for like people who are needing information that will still end up dying anyway is like the sticking the rat in the bucket and then heating up the end of the bucket so it disembowels the person
Oh
basically.
yeah,
Or Iron Maiden, that's mad. I think one of the
absolutely wicked
absolute
ones.
perfect ones is death by or execution by horses, where they tie your limbs to ropes and they have either both your legs tied to one horse or either leg tied to two different horses and then vice versa with the other arms, and they just pull you apart basically. Just Christ, they were so brutal back in the day. There's no need for that.
Oh, they were.
Humanity at its finest, huh?
Aye, so we got any any more things to say on our last day?
Um, Not much. Like apart from like if you're unknowingly knowing it was the last day and you're just gonna be hit by a truck or killed somehow or just have a heart attack, like you just go about your normal routine, wouldn't you?
Mhm.
Nothing would affect you. You wouldn't know it. Like it's weird.
If I knew it was the last day, I feel like clothes wise, I would dress up in a full suit. I look absolutely dapper.
Go out the
uh,
good way. Probably
aye.
be put in a suit anyway. If you're on a coffin unless you're cremated.
Mhm. Just keep me in my suit.
I'd probably just be cremated to be honest.
You think?
Cheaper.
Hmm.
Means my family doesn't have to like cash out for a
You're
bloody
more
fucking
involved.
coffin and a massive funeral. We still had a funeral for my granddad actually, but like he was
Mhm.
cremated it, so it was like much cheaper. I believe. Um,
Yeah.
I
That
cremate
way
me.
you can also scatter the ashes if you wish, or keep them.
I requested to keep my ashes. I want to be there forever in somebody's home.
Mhm. Just kept.
I'll be kept. Talking of being kept, I'm pretty sure like a lot of cultures, including ours, not long ago, had dead bodies, right? And they'd have coffins, but not buried, or sometimes they would be buried, but they'd be dug up to be put into a living room and to be like caressed and like just looked at and like talk around in a family room basically. And they'd be like not embalmed but preserved in a way where they don't look terrible. And it's just weird how that was still so recent and some cultures still do it. Like I'm pretty sure in Peru or Cuba, there's a culture that preserves their dead bodies by having them on scaffolding in coffins, and they take them down and like they have children and such, and they're just like mummified at this point, and you're like, bro, imagine the smell. I suppose if they're preserving them,
Yeah,
they must have like some sort of like scenting.
possibly. Yeah.
You imagine you dying and you're in afterlife if there is one or whatever, and you just look down and somebody's like kept you in their living room in a suit, and you're just mummified,
My God.
sitting there all bloody bony. Such a morbid like concept.
Aye. It'd be absolutely horrible if the last day was like really, really sudden in terms of
Wake up and you just have a heart attack when you wake.
yeah, something like that, or like getting hit by something, or just some sort of accident.
Um, how would you like to go out, rather? Like
How would I like to go out?
if it was
Um,
sudden,
if it was sudden.
yeah,
Hmm.
like you didn't know, like, or if you did choose, like, would you rather dying by cancer or like an illness, or would it rather be sudden? Or
Mm, I don't know. I think there's pros and cons to to both, I guess.
because if you were to
Um,
die, like, would you like to die heroically? Like, I'm gonna grab this bomb
yeah.
and run away and I'll explode, or I'm gonna stop this guy knifing people by sacrificing my life, like so that sort of shit.
Ah.
So many ways you could like want to go out peacefully in your sleep, for example.
Hmm. Yeah, I think peacefully in sleep would be. one of the top ones.
It'd be ideal.
Um, Pretty sure that's how it's Sean Connery.
Yeah, like in where was it? He was in I think I can't tell if he was in Holiday or he was somewhere with his family like, in a nice place, and he just died in sleep. For all we knew.
Barbados or something.
I think it was Barbados.
Yeah.
I
Um, aye, in sleep, I feel everything else is going to be quite um I don't know, just that brief last moments will be fear.
Yeah, when you're ill and you know you're dying, or you know you
Aye.
can die, especially if you're diagnosed terminal.
Mm. Long-term illnesses like that where it leads to the end is um it's pain. It gives you more time to accept it, but at the
Oh
same
yeah,
time, there's a lot more times where you're sat with it in your head, and especially for the people around you as well, they're going to be sat with it in their heads. So it eases it, but it doesn't at the same time. It doesn't ease the process, but it
no.
eases it for after.
Mm.
I mind seeing a video that was talking about most like ridiculous deaths,
Aye.
and one of them was this guy who constantly would take videos of himself like up on top of skyscrapers and doing like running across them and just being really, really dangerous to the point of like nearly falling and slightly hanging off of like one arm and all that.
Oh yeah.
He would constantly do this all the time, and he essentially did that, but then fell. Um, and I think there's a video of it as well where you see the I think I can't remember if it's like a security camera or his camera, but it just captures the like from another building. You can just see him trying to climb the side of like the skyscraper, and his hands just slip and he falls. You catch him falling for like a brief wee bit, which it makes you think, man. Because if being him in that scenario, he's done that tons of times.
Yeah.
But what would have been running through his head that moment he slipped and he knows that's it,
That's
fucked.
that fleeting moments. Like those fleeting moments. Like obviously you can have them if you think you're gonna die and you live afterwards. But like,
Yeah,
does time slow down for you? Do you actually see like your memories, your life? Does it come quick to you? Does it just stay like? 'Cause I know some people like in certain states. Like oh, I was watching Jackass. Apparently, when they're doing the bit where they have Preston jump onto the big balloon thing in the water and launch like a wee man into the air,
yeah,
and I remember one of them said, or wee man himself said, or any one of them. I can't mind who. They were saying it felt like time sort of just slowed down going through the air. And I'm like, I wonder if that's how it is when you know something is just happening like that.
yeah.
And then there's
There's
a
another high level danger.
way more harrowing and not so like impactful deaths, like massive, like oh my god, is there? I mind watching like this live leak thing of a guy in quicksand and he's just slowly sinking,
Yeah,
sinking, and you see his head go under, and you see his hand, you see his fingers, and that's it. Imagine your thought process
yeah, it'd be crazy.
or drowning, even like seeing these folk
And
who dive
quicksand is one of
under.
those scenarios where you don't want to panic because
Definitely.
panicking makes it worse.
Same with drowning and stuff. Like if you go under
Mm.
the water and you're doing one of these challenges, or you somehow got caught underneath water, and the entirety of the surface of the water is a sheet of thick ice, and you can't break through. You got to keep calm. And you've got to think: is there a way around me? You got to keep your breath. There's maximum maybe you've got 5 minutes holding your breath if you're calm. That's only if you know how to do that.
Yep.
Obviously, if you're really well trained, you can go up to like 20 minutes.
Aye.
Aye. Let's leave this
Let's move
morbid
on.
topic for a little bit and move on to news. You
News, yeah.
You got any?
I've got a couple of things.
Oh.
Got a couple of things. One of them happened um, a wee bit ago, but it was McGregor. So McGregor had a fight against Poirier, Dustin Poirier, which is a rematch. And in the first fight, McGregor won. They looked really good. So they had this rematch, and Poirier's really good as well. Like he is a high quality fighter. But I mind I stayed up for this. I was looking forward to it, and with my guffed sleeping pattern anyway, I was like, oh fuck it. Stayed up, and I mind in the lead up to it, and like while I was watching that, um, McGregor's like a different person. Um, and he's a lot more humble in like everything he does. The lead up, there's not a lot of trash talking. Um, when you see them in person, he's like, he's been very friendly and respectful and whatnot. But it also translates in the fight, and he sort of looks like he's just not got that fire in him anymore. It's not that same fire that we seen
Mm-hmm.
prior, that where he's just, if he smells blood, he's going out for it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's it was completely different, and he didn't fight badly. He fought fairly well, but in that first round, there was a lot of times that he was just getting caught with um, punches to the face. He's getting caught by a lot of headshots. Um,
Yeah.
I thought that's not good. That's not good. Yeah, at least you need to be trading and not trying to get caught with that. If you get caught
Yeah.
with too many of them, it's gonna fuck you up.
Also,
And
comes down to like a fighter mentality where the more losses
mhm,
you in your career, even if you have a massive win streak, any
yep,
losses, especially a few, can can hurt your ego, can hurt your confidence, but can
yeah,
also hurt your fight or flight and actual fighting prowess during a match after that loss. It's happened to many fighters, and as you're saying, he doesn't seem as fierce, probably because he's been humbled because of the
yep.
prior losses.
I definitely have. Um, I mind funny, funny, because before I was saying I can't quite see um McGregor losing this unless it's by like submission. But when you were watching the first round, I was like, I don't know actually, because it just played differently. It played really differently. And then the second round came, a bit of similar stuff kept pursuing, and then eventually, Poirier just caught him with too many punches, and McGregor didn't get out of the situation. He just sort of stood there a bit, and he got knocked out, and he took the L. He lost. There's tons of memes floating about of him lying
Oh
on the
my god,
ground, just
yeah.
like, uh,
Bernie
which is
Sanders.
it's funny, but it's a real shame to see McGregor like actually get knocked out and just you know because to be able to have had a fight before and to have beaten him and then going and losing to him in the rematch, you know, that's on him.
Mm-hmm.
That's completely on him. He's not the same, and I don't know if he ever will be now, especially after that fight. Um, it's quite sad to see as like a fan of McGregor.
Yeah.
Um, we'll have to see what he does next, I guess. There might be a third fight at some point. I think there's a couple other things he was lined up. Um, Potential boxing fight with
Mm-hmm.
Pacquiao, stuff like that. Um, aye, just weird one.
Yeah.
What have you got?
Well, mine's a bit more simple.
Mhm.
Is I got the Godzilla films watched last Saturday. So
Oh,
Not Kong Skull Island yet. I've been meaning to. For Kong versus Godzilla comes. Godzilla versus.
Yep.
And I mind watching the first Godzilla back in around 2014, 2015. I'm watching it and I'm expecting this to be amazing. Oh, chock a block full of action with Godzilla. And to be fair, it didn't pique me when I was that age first watching it because I was wanting action. But it was more of a build-up film with a good climax.
Yep.
Sort of one of like a lot of horror movies work like that as well. And when I rewatched it last Saturday, I really quite enjoyed the build-up and the action. There was a lot more action than I actually previously had expected. And I like the designs, I like the setup, I like the characters. They were simple characters, but they were well executed, I believe. Like, that's the thing with a Godzilla, a kaiju movie. You're not really watching it for a massive, in-depth like story. You're watching it because you want to see these big monsters beat fuck out each other. Sort of, sort of like Jurassic Park. You're not in it for you're not in it for the humans. You're not in it for the philosophy of it. You just want to see Tyrannosaurus Rex fucking eat some dinosaurs and people stuff. And while the first Godzilla does build up well, and it does have a really good climax to it, I think I equally like, if not like more, the sequel, King of the Monsters, and all the kaiju they introduced and have in that film, and the music's just superb in it. Really like it. It's got this there's a certain creature that appears, and his sort of music they've got on for him is like really like war cry, like drum music sort of stuff on. I'm like, ooh, that sounds oh. A lot of the choreography of the fights in it were really good. A lot of great imagery. Um, so I'm just sort of sitting here and like when I watched Kong Skull Island and inevitably King Kong vs Godzilla, which I watched the trailer for again, and it actually looks quite good for action wise, I suppose. I'm looking forward to what they have to bring up this universe because if you just want action, it's got some great action.
I'll have to get around to them myself at some point.
Yeah, I can give you the DVDs for it.
Ah,
Got them
would be sweet.
buggers. I think Kong's on Amazon Prime. Kong
Hmm.
Skull Island. Aye, that's my first bit of news.
Interesting. Um, some of the other bits I've got, um, there's also one that's been, uh, it's still sort of in the news a bit, but happened a wee bit ago, a couple of days back, and it's just the whole Reddit GameStop traders, all that stuff, that whole scenario. Don't know if you've heard much of it, or looked into it
Kind of bit.
any bit. Yeah, uh, I think the basis of it is um, there's a Reddit, there's a subreddit, should I say, that's called Wall Street Bets,
Hmm.
where they obviously talk about a lot of stuff like that and well stocks, whatnot. But earlier on, they sort of planned this. They planned this sort of like pump and dump type thing. They planned this move where everyone would buy stocks for. I think it was a couple things. GameStop was the main one. Um, BlackBerry and I think there was a couple others. They all sort of went towards. Um, so we'll sort of cover the GameStop one because I'm pretty sure GameStop was at the point where it was the stocks were cheap. The stocks were like less than 20 quid, and I think they were going under, um, going through a lot of problems, right? And a lot of these rich people were buying them, um, but were betting against them, um, just for them to make more money, which is part of what this move countered. So because everyone jumped on it at once, the price of a stock went from like under 20, which is what earlier at went all the way up to like 340 something. Um, so I think quite a lot of people are holding. Some people like took that profit and made a shit ton, but it was mostly to sort of get one against these rich people because they end up losing out on a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
I can't remember how much they lost in total. I think I've seen somewhere like 40 million or 40 billion or something ridiculous like that. Um, because they're betting against, it's not something they can counter. But I mind seeing as well. I think it was I mind what um what platform it was, but they stopped the buying of GameStop. They wouldn't let people buy any GameStop to stop it from rising anymore. But yeah, the whole thing's ridiculous. I haven't looked into it a lot. I've just sort of seen the brief bit of news on it. It's
Yeah.
crazy, absolutely crazy.
I'm mad.
What else have you got?
I've got the fact that season 8 of Apex has begun. The new battle pass changes the map. And so far, I've been really enjoying it actually. And they also just released a trailer for the anniversary collection event as well, which will have a bunch of stuff for us to get. It's 2 year anniversary as of the 9th. But yeah, with season 8, I'm really enjoying it. Like it's only the one map just now, opposed to the two others they also have in rotation, or could have in rotation. Kings Canyon, I've been enjoying it so far. Been a good handle on it, and I've been getting a bunch of wins as well. Bunch of wins. It's been mad. I got a new like setup of it as well. Like normally I'd run these two certain guns, but I've sort of been mixing up a lot. Good thing. Um, it's also just been great since realizing that my TV hadn't been on game setting all this time since getting the PS5. I
Mm,
thought it was odd. It's been on Echo, so when I changed it to the game, the response rate from controller to TV was much better. Um, so it's been allowing me to enjoy Apex Legends much more, and especially the start of a new season. And I hope to enjoy it for the next 80 odd days. Um, yeah, it's definitely a game that I don't know how long I'll stick with, to be honest.
yeah, stuck
Like
with it for quite a while so far.
pretty much, like I played it on the first week it came out, maybe even
Hmm.
first day. Don't know if I stuck around for like I think a couple of weeks and then stopped, and then I missed season one, and I've been back since season two. Like I don't know how long this lasts. There's been quite a few seasons where I'm like, I'll give up, I'll stop now because I'm like doing shit, and I'm like, I don't really like what they're doing, not that interested in that. Some of my mates are also not playing it anymore. There's always that time near the end of the season or the start of a new season when we've all just been reimbursed into it, and we're like, yo, this game's actually really sick. Let's keep on playing it. And like, I'm not one from not massively on like FPS games either. This is why like it's so surprising like in this game, and I like my man Octane, my main beautiful, beautiful bastard.
Man,
That's all I've really got to say about that. Like, I've got to say with the items season 8 so far, I'm not a big fan of the skins and that. I know a few others disagree with me, but I'm just like I think I prefer the last three seasons like skins. To be honest,
I think you'll see Fuse quite a lot in ranked.
but the new legend, I do
Yes.
actually. One of our guys is maining him currently, and
Hmm.
he's definitely a good counter to a lot of people like people who camp like with Caustic and Rampart and that. However, yeah,
Hmm.
his counter is a massive counter, being like Watson, but it's only when she's got her ult out, which only lasts about 60 seconds or so, maybe less. No, it's 90 seconds. But yeah, Fuse is really cool. I haven't got to use him yet. I think I'm the only one that hasn't. Like his abilities are really cool because his side ability is like a knuckle duster. It's called. It just shoots out this like small like firecracker thing that works like a thermite in which it destroys the door.
Right.
And if you stick somebody with it, it does 50 damage always to them. Um, his passive is that he can store up to two of each throwable. Like you don't you get like one slot in your backpack for like a frag. He can hold two frags in one slot now. And another he's got a secondary passive where anything he's going to like shoot out comes out of his robotic arm that he has, and it will launch it farther and faster. So he's just a really good projectile legend. Probably one of
Yeah.
the best they've added since
That's this
Bostic.
hard. Yeah.
And
Nice.
his ult is like just a big thermite blast. It like makes a ring of fire around the enemies. And the only way they can get out of it is by Pathfinder, Horizon, or Octane with their jump pad, floating, or
Yeah.
zipping. But if you're hit by it, it does mad damage. Yeah, he's a good
Yeah.
character.
It's decent. What about like buffs and nerfs on
Um,
guns?
in terms of guns, they buffed the Alternator and Spitfire, so they have higher damage. They nerf some legends like Wraith. She's got a bigger hitbox now. Um, they added a new gun called the 30-30 repeater, so it works like an old timey repeater gun, and you can shoot like close range, and it does like 40 odd damage close range. But if you charge it up, it does like 50 something to 100 to the head. And I personally like my main's buff, which isn't really a buff but just a bug fix, where his jump pad now launches you much higher, as it always should have done. Instead of pressing X to go higher, they just automatically make you go higher if you land on it or go
Right.
over it. However, if you slide onto it, instead of going higher, you go horizontally further and faster.
Nice.
Yeah,
Good change, you think?
a good change. It's just aye, it's just good. This has been
I'll
really
need
good so
to.
far.
I'll let you jump on at some point. I played Apex so sporadically,
Yeah.
but I need to try some of it. At some point.
Aye.
It'll be good.
Yeah.
I've got one last bit of news, and it's Dogecoin. Just
Hmm.
the rise of Dogecoin so far. It may fall quite bad, but we'll see how it settles. Essentially, um, Dogecoin cryptocurrency started off originally as just a sort of joke, just like a meme. I think value wise, uh, like last year it was sitting at like 0.002 of a pound. Um, so not a lot, but quite recently, um, this year anyway, um, we've seen a lot of people gather towards it and sort of this Doge army. People have been trying to push it in terms of raising the value, and it's gathering steam. Like a lot of people talking about it on Reddit, a lot of people talking about it on Twitter. You see it trending, Dogecoin, all this stuff, to the point where even Elon Musk has been tweeting a lot about it.
Hmm.
Obviously, because he's tweeting about it, he's a big backer and fan of Bitcoin, but he's also quite a memey guy. So he's been speaking about Doge, and it's increasing its value. People he's talking about it, and people are seeing it and then jumping on um, as well because of the GameStop stuff that's been going on. People are trying to be like, okay, hold on, maybe I should get involved in this. People are seeing a potential like money maker, but it's like it's a lot more than just that. And in some cases, it's a case of if it's already on the news, then it's you've missed the um you've missed the best point to invest. But yeah, Dogecoin is still rising at the moment.
Hmm.
It's sort of fluctuated. There's been some points where it's gotten to a certain value, um, and then people have been like, right, shit, um, let's sell now and make profit. And some people have been panicking, but it's been fluctuating quite a lot. think right now it's sitting at check 0.04, so 4p per coin.
Hmm.
4p per coin? No, I. Yeah, 4p per coin. So it's increased, and the part of the whole like rally behind it is to try and get it to like $1. That's what a lot of people have been trying to say. Even when out of some of the Musk tweets that he's done, he said stuff like, "Oh, Dogecoin is it the currency of the future, currency of the world." People want to see Dogecoin as like the main currency for the whole world. It's quite funny, but yeah, people been buying this Dogecoin, but holding is the important part because if you sell, that's what will decrease the value, of course. Um, so people have been buying and just holding it. Um, and yeah, it's quite interesting. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. Whether it does keep increasing to a point, I doubt it'll get to $1 because that's mad, absolute mad. I I've been involved in a bit of cryptocurrency. I've got a couple here and there.
Yeah.
Um, but Doge, I don't know. It's a weird one. I feel like there's just going to be a massive crash at some point,
Hmm.
um, and it'll just a lot of people lose a shit ton of money. But if it does go up, I feel like too many people are going to be making so much money.
Yeah.
But we'll see. You never know. Definitely think
Or no.
cryptocurrency is something for the future. Anyway, well, that's all my news.
Um. Well, my next bit, you're done, is
Mm-hmm.
not one I'm entirely too proud of, being that I've caved in and now look at TikToks. I've
Oh yeah.
relogged in to my 2-year-old account and been looking at messages I've been getting from you boys
Aye.
about TikToks and
Sending
that, sending
shit.
stuff, looking at stuff. Like, I mind when it initially came out, we thought TikTok because it came from the Musically app, and
Yes, that's what it was originally called, wasn't it?
and a lot of people were like, including ourselves, like maybe this could be the new Vine, maybe.
Yeah.
So we looked into it, and I got quickly bored of it because a lot of the tags and that weren't really good, and all you were seeing are duets, which is sort of really unoriginal to me. And
Hmm.
it's still popular now to do duets.
Some of them
And
are funny, but it's you got to be quite creative with them.
yeah, whereas Vine is like you could literally do anything, but the gimmick is it's 6 seconds long unless you found that loophole glitch or whatever it was.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
then we found out TikTok, Vine did have a sequel by the same developers, but was absolutely trash because it was still new. I'm pretty sure this
Yeah.
didn't develop it any further.
So it came at the wrong time, and it was underdeveloped. It's improved. Um, it's improved a wee bit since, but it's not got any traction at all.
Yeah,
And because people make content, it's the people that make the app good. Um, a lot of the content on Byte is just shite.
yeah. Sort of like you won't find it that great of streamers like when there was that streaming service that was app with alongside Twitch, but it got
Oh, I
taken
vaguely
down.
know what
Like
you're on about.
Ninja and like Shroud were on it.
Hmm.
They're the only like coming forth points to go on to that. Was it Mixer or was it Juicer? I can't remember what it's called.
I think it's Mixer. Yeah, Mixer.
And I got done with. But like Byte is like it could have been something, but it was incredibly underdeveloped and came at the wrong time. TikTok seems to have taken the helm. It's like the most popular form of getting your memes now. Like any like I don't do it. I don't do it. Like I'll see somebody react to meme videos, like on YouTube or something. And I'll be like, I'll watch this. And I always see that a lot of the meme videos are getting from YouTube have TikToks
Yep.
in them, like 90% of them. And like, so it's definitely made a huge impact. It is the new Vine, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, it is. It's different though, and it does offer a decent
Yeah,
conversation to have, Vine over TikTok. What are the pros and cons of each of them?
Mm.
Um, they've both. What's good because they're it's at that popularity now that there is a shit ton of like gems. There's a shit ton of really good. Uh, there's a shit ton of really good content that are sort of just one-offs that you couldn't really do else with.
Yeah.
So many people are involved, but they're very different in terms of like the popular stuff that you'll see. That's what for me makes TikTok less than Vine.
It's the trendy
It's some of
music
the
ones,
yeah,
yeah.
it's the trendy stuff that trends. Because there's so many videos on TikTok that are just people sort of miming away to a song, and that's it, or they just do a dance or something like that. And
Yeah.
some of it's some of it I think is not good, and that's partly why some people have not been jumping on TikTok as well. But you've got to do a bit of digging to find the good stuff, I find.
Yeah.
A bit the same with Vine, but at least with the Vine, it was a bit more creative, even the popular stuff.
Yeah, because like it's not like with a lot with the Vine, you had to make whatever your 6 seconds were quality. Whereas
Yeah.
like a lot of these TikToks can go on for like a minute or two, and it's just duets or some stupid stuff or some sort of like commentary and stuff you really could care less about. As you say, I think TikTok does a bad job of recommending me tweets. Like I'll like certain tweets I think are funny, and I'll recheck the For You tab. It'll be the same shit over and over again that I don't like, with sometimes mixed in shit I do. I'm like well, I'm not wanting to see fucking duets. Fuck off. However, I do keep getting recommended this one guy, Pudgy, I think he's called. That's his dog's name,
Mm.
and it's just
All right.
constantly uploads TikToks of he and his dog, and he's like, Pudgy, can you give me an hour, hour? And the dog
Yeah.
will just sit there like, hour, hour, or just bite him and shit because it's
I
one of those wee rascal like it's a chihuahua. What is it?
think so.
It's like a really feisty ass dog. It looks older. Like it can't, it's very aggressive, and it's quite funny how his relationship with his dog.
Just grabs the mic. Just, ow, ow, ow,
Ow, ow. Like half the time before he does that, he'll bite the guy's like mic,
ow.
like fully, and take out his hands, and he's got it in his mouth, and you can hear it growling like.
Mm.
That's TikTok. It's definitely something.
It's good. It's good. I often see a lot of videos on YouTube that are like how on YouTube since Vine's disappeared, you'd see compilations that are just Vine compilations, and
Yes.
obviously with TikTok's popularity recently, I've seen a shit ton of videos on YouTube that are titled stuff like TikToks that have Vine energy, or something like
Oh
that.
yeah, that's good. There's
So
videos like that.
yeah, there's definitely some very funny shit videos out there, and that's good. We'll have to see where that goes.
Yes.
Definitely, you get down such a fucking hole of
Rabbit hole.
watching them.
Yeah.
You just keep watching them, and time just goes. You're like, oh no.
I noticed that the first night I had it, and I was on it for like 2 hours, and I looked at my battery, and it went from 60% to 30%. I'm like, huh? Excuse me? No, no. It wasn't even 2 hours. I think it was like an hour and a half, or maybe just less than that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, 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 30% in just that amount of time. No, 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 no,
It's
no.
time that there's no way you could, well, for me or you, some people might, but you wouldn't sit on like Facebook or
Yeah.
Twitter for that long. You would come off at some point and then maybe jump back on later on. But
Hmm.
with TikTok, you just one massive fucking.
Like the reason I did that is like I get bored very often if I'm not playing or watching something. So what I'll do is I'll look through Facebook sometimes, see what people are saying. I'll go on Twitter, I'll check it until I've seen everything that's completely been posted that's new. I'm like, well, because that's why I've got two accounts on Twitter as well, because I follow different people on two different accounts, so the posts don't get like lost or like are gone. So I'm never bored. But there's times where I can check tweets so fast that I've run out of material. I'm like, ah,
Yep.
fuck. So like I sometimes go on Reddit, but I don't think Reddit entertains me enough to be like scroll through it really. So
Yeah, I know what you mean.
it's like that would be like our last resort. So I was like, you know what, TikTok, let's have a look at TikTok. And then whenever I go on TikTok, I don't just look at one and go fuck this. I just scroll and then scroll and then scroll. And if there's nothing there, I press for you, and it'll get like 100 new ones you've not seen before.
Aye,
Jesus, that's TikTok.
aye. That's just finished with news. Then
Yes, and time to
go back.
retract to some morbidness.
Mm.
With what does death mean to you? So I'll I suppose I can start with it. Is I don't know. There might be some points that like tangle in or like intertwine with some of the main topics ones. Hopefully, more like less so like directly. But I'll start with saying my experience with it being very strange. Like I know a lot of people like will grieve or be overcome with emotion, even sadness, anger, like depression when the one close to them or a person that is close to them dies, and it was always a weird thing to look back on because my experience with it is so far the only one being my grandfather. He died in 2013 on the day of Belgium, the first day going there just before we got to the ticket place. We were on the phone and we were alerted that he'd passed away, and it wasn't like alert that he passed away within that time. There were relatives there speaking to us as he was passing away, and
Yeah,
I could quite clearly see that people in the car that were relatives were getting really emotional with it, and I was sat there feeling more bad for them than I was feeling bad for me because the person that I was closer to in my family at that time was my grandfather. So my experience of it, like I clearly was the closest to him. Like I wanted to spend more time with him, but there was this sort of hole that wasn't allowing like me to grieve or have like an affection for his death. Like it was weird. Like I was never really affected by it, but maybe I was. I don't know.
yeah. It's hard to grasp.
Yeah,
Because obviously you're young as well, so that
yeah.
factors into how you would react.
I was 13, almost 14 at that point. Yeah,
Hmm.
because I wasn't young enough to be like I don't understand what's happening. I fully understood what was happening. I comprehended,
Yep.
and I just mind doing an essay on it in secondary school. And one of the support teachers that was there that like sort of came over to look over a document that I'd done. They're like, give us a life event, like a sad life event," and I'm like, I did my grandfather's like death and funeral, and I caused her to bloody cry. I was like, I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't meaning to make people sad because I was just explaining like even at the funeral it was weird. It was a funny funeral. It was I was never sad
Yeah,
or
it was trying
I
to
was
express something.
almost glad that he had passed because he was in pain and he had
Uh,
COPD and it was lung cancer, and dementia as well. So he was quite far gone. He wasn't the person he used to be. And I also remember being there was a part that I was quite angry was is I never got to go see him before he was cremated. I was never told that was happening, and all of my family members regret never taking me, thinking I probably couldn't have handled it.
hmm.
And while I have forgiven this, I still would have liked to have seen him before that happened,
Yeah, it's
like closure.
a sense of closure that some people might need, some people don't need to see the body, they prefer not to.
Yeah.
And I do feel like that does depend on the person passing as well.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I've been somewhat fortunate that so far nobody super close to me has passed. I've dealt with it when I was younger, um, a couple times. My grandfather passed as well. I think when I was, I can't even remember how old it would have been. I think about 12, 13 as well, roughly, by then. And he, I think it was the first one. might have been the first or second death that I'd dealt with, and he passed away from a number of things. He had had dementia from for ages. So as far as I remember him from my youth, he's had it. Um,
Hmm.
there's a lot of stuff where he would not recognize people, and not, you know, would barely speak. And but I mind a lot of the time when I would visit him, um, he would spot me and smile, start smiling away, which was
Yeah,
always nice. But
same for me. Yeah.
yeah, that one was weird because I didn't properly have a connection with him apart from it being family.
Hmm.
And we would visit him quite often. Um, but seeing dementia, it's not nice.
No.
Not a nice process, especially for um everyone around. Um, also dealt with my auntie passing, um, which that was a more sudden one in that it was um a stroke. So got rushed to hospital, and then like within a wee bit of time, it was over.
Yeah.
So that was a weird one. But a lot of these, I mean, as I say, quite young, so I don't quite know how I'd react to it in the
When
future
it's
with different people.
yeah.
But I don't think I've been like overly upset or overly crying or anything like that. But it makes you think a lot about stuff. And
Mm.
I think one of the factors that um, is that goes through my head the most is just the fact that it's forever. Like that's it.
Yeah.
There's going to be no other time to see them or speak to them or anything like that.
That was like the sort of thing because with my granddad, he I'd seen him every day of my life until he had a stroke, which he was put in the hospital and that and he had dementia. So instead of seeing him every day, it would change to for a little bit I couldn't see him because he was getting like rehabilitated or whatever it's called, and then when we could see him again, I was seeing him every day in the hospital every single day.
Yep.
Sometimes even missing school because I had to see him,
Hmm.
and that became a mass routine where I got so used to being in the hospital that it became sort of strange after he died. Uh,
Yeah, that visits weren't there anymore.
yeah, because like it was like I was there for an hour or two every single day, sometimes 4 hours every single day. Definitely weird, but it just sort of alerts me. Like maybe I'll react differently to like if somebody else in my family who's close to me dies. But like he was the closest. He was my interim father basically.
Yeah.
He was the closest to being a father figure. So if I didn't have any like immense emotions towards his death, maybe because I felt like it was time for it. But otherwise, it just sort of makes me believe that I can't have a healthy emotional reaction to death, at least to about others. Or hollow,
Mm.
weird.
Um, in terms of recently, my one of my uncles passed away um a year and a bit ago, and yeah, that's the most recent one I've had. But because hadn't seen him in ages, there wasn't it wasn't the same like emptiness
Mm-hmm.
that you could get if it was someone close. Because I wasn't seeing him, like that wasn't gone. It wasn't like something I was doing or something, someone I would speak to regularly. It was still sad, but it was more of a distant death, close in terms of family, but distant in terms of um like effectiveness, if that makes sense.
Then there's
Uh, I
it's like non-family deaths as well, like childhood friends and people you
Yeah.
did know, that's a very different like reaction. Not sadness, maybe sadness, but like when I knew
A
somebody
lot
who
more
was in my
shock.
year who had died, and I was very much just in shock because they were young and I just knew them. I'm like, that could have been anybody. That could have been like sort of factor in. It's like you didn't expect it. And I was like, oh damn. Like I knew him.
Yep.
A weird thing.
I think out of all the deaths um that I've had, if you know what I mean, that's been the one that's sort of been most effective. The one that's sort of shocked me the most was a mate who passed away while we were in school. I think we were fourth year, must have been, and it was just absolutely weird. I mind the night prior there was a bit of talking going on about, and nobody was sure if it was real and all that stuff. And we went in uh, to go to class, so we went to I think it was PE for me, but all the changing rooms were closed and people were standing about. You just had this sense of something,
Mm-hmm.
some like dread sense of something bad, and we all got pulled in. Our whole year got pulled into assembly hall and then told that he had passed, which was generally one of the most just shocking moments. Because it's it's someone of our age, someone young. It's not someone who has lived a full life, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it makes it that much more worse. Um, and yeah, it's just it's crazy. Um, Spent a lot of time thinking about that.
It's definitely something.
Someone that you would see because with school, you would have classes every day apart from the weekends, but then you might speak to people on PlayStation or Xbox or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
or if you went out to go play football, you would see them. So people that you would see in classes, you would catch them every day at school. So to go from that to just absolutely nothing, it's um, horrific.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's really good having memories to look back on
Yeah.
because they're good memories. One of the one of the first times, like I'm really into spice now, but one of the first times I actually had a pepper, it was like a really 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 hot pepper. I can't mind which one it was. I think it was um what's the hottest Scottish one? Can't mind which one's called.
Uh.
Uh, I think he had brought that in, or one of the ones that was about that heat level. He brought them in, and he would tank them, like he would
Oh,
eat them and
Scotch
just eat.
bonnets.
Yeah, I think it was Scotch bonnets. Um, and he would he would just eat them and be fine. And we were like, what the fuck? Absolutely mad. But I mind that was one of the first times I tried it. He offered them to quite a few people who'd come in with a pack, and I mind trying one and just being just like my eyes would naturally water up a shit ton. I'd be like, it's, it was just one hell of an experience. But since then, I've kind of liked spice. So
Aye.
um, thanks to that experience, everything that is spicy, I've got that to level it with, to compare with.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, death's just a very very deep one, and as someone who's not a religious person, I don't have this imagination of um, like a heaven or hell or
Just any afterlife.
reincarnation, yeah, anything like that. So, a lot of time there's times where I'll think about it and I'll imagine just that it's just this emptiness for like just for the rest of time, just complete emptiness, no conscious, no absolutely nothing. And I just get this shiver. So. is quite crazy. I mind seeing someone had done like a concept written in like a sort of story form of this reincarnation where um once you die it was like um there was this god um who you would speak to briefly, and the sort of concept was that you reincarnate, but you reincarnate as someone in the past, present, or future. Like every single person that has lived, every being that has lived, whether it be animal or something like that, um, it is you. Like it's one soul that it presents in everybody. The reincarnation is everyone. So your soul is also like Elvis's soul
Hmm.
or some Gudgy from Stone Age, which I thought was really interesting. But it was more in like a story form than
Yeah.
anything actually serious. But it's a big wonder. There's a lot of question marks and no answers towards it. Whether what happens.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I'm definitely also of like the set there. Like, it'd be cool if there
Mm,
was an afterlife, but I just can't see it happening.
mm,
Um. Like it's a weird understanding of death because I remember in the past thinking about like death, like, if everyone was like nothingness after death. And I was thinking really into it that it started actually having a physical effect in my head for like a few minutes, and then
mm.
it disappeared. I've always tried to think about that again, and it's not been the same. It's just a weird, maybe like epiphany that like it's okay if it's nothing. It doesn't have to amount to anything, as long as you've lived your life the way you want it to. Then that's it. Because if everything was immortal, it would eventually become boring. So like, of course, people want to live longer. Of course, people want to like maybe live a few centuries, but we've been gifted a long enough life as it is to us. And if we were able to live a few centuries, it would still feel the same length as it would be 90 years, 80 years, 70 years. It's the same to animals. Animals will feel those 10 years as equivalent of being a lifetime like us having 90 years. So it's all relative when we die. It's just sad when it happens. It's an immensely philosophical way of thinking. It's like being able to accept that you will die is one thing. Being scared of it's fine. Having panic attacks about it's fine. But just if you can someday learn that it's okay, then that's the best thing you can do in life is
Yeah,
knowing it's okay to die. And I, for one, believe I've attained that, and the rest of life just to be sorted out is whether like okay, I want to do this now, and yeah, I'll go do that. That's it.
yeah,
Whereas I think that's where a lot of people get their ambition from to do things. It's like life is fleeting. I might die one day. I want to leave a mark, sort of thing.
yeah. I sort of I'm in that same boat, and that um, it's definitely something to be fearful of, but that's what makes people better.
Yeah,
It's what makes it gives people an incentive to achieve stuff. Um, and it is very important to understand that it's good to or okay to be fearful of it, but to try and accept and adapt. Um, sometimes it's sometimes you can be unproductive
yeah,
and whatnot, but I think part of that just lies in the fact that um, assuming you've got like decent health and whatnot, you're in your mind. It's like, oh well, death's not until far away. You've not got this idea of it being kind of close.
hmm,
Um, so you're a bit slower in terms of achieving this and that, but it depends on the person. Some people might still take that as, oh, I've got tons of time to do even more stuff than it is than just a couple things. But
yeah,
yeah, it's definitely something that you can use to um,
yeah.
embrace and make yourself better
It's a matter of
from the
perspective
experience.
like, of
Right.
death. Like some people use it for ambition, some people use it as an excuse to not do anything.
Mhm.
And I definitely feel like death affects people more than they think. Definitely. And then sometimes it's just better to find a way to cope, grieve your own way. Never tell somebody to grieve uh, differently than you, or never tell somebody to grieve like you do. Everybody grieves
Yeah.
different. Everybody deals with death differently. But you can't let death like control your life. Basically,
Mhm.
if it does, you need to seek help. Some form.
Yeah, some people will some people can cry quite a lot. Um, I find myself I've sort of struggled to cry a lot of the times if I'm ever uh feeling like it, then my body just naturally holds it back.
Yeah,
There's a lot of times where I won't properly cry or I just won't at all. But I will be feeling I will be feeling sad, bad, and I will be grieving.
yeah, it's definitely the same. There, like whenever I'm either grieving, oh, grieving that, whenever I'm like at my saddest or most depressed, I physically cannot cry, but I don't even feel like crying either. I just have sadness or depression there, and even with sadness, it doesn't actually like hit me like that properly. Anger is a weird one though. I get angry and I'll shed a singular tear. But that happens if I'm lying in my bed in a weird way. I'll shed a singular tear from one eye. I think that's just like a genetic thing, where it's like my brain's like wired weirdly, where it's like, all right, Caden's lying on his bed, slightly to his right, release tear, release tear, tear being released, keys in, you're incoming, incoming. It's weird, but whenever I'm angry, like really, really angry, I can sometimes get teary eyed, and it's weird. Other times I don't, like a majority of the times I don't, but sometimes I do. Weird. So I know a lot of people, like, funny enough, with deaths and sad stories in a lot of shows and fiction, they will cry. I know family members that do that. I know friends that do that. I've never come close to doing that, apart from a few instances. Yeah, it's definitely a tough subject to talk about, and I mind watching a few shows that talk about it as well.
As you go on with life, you'll experience you'll experience a fair lot of it, and everyone's going to be different. Everyone's going to change you differently.
Yeah,
Um, so it's just trying to, yes, just do your best with it.
yeah,
Um, it makes you wonder about some of the some of the people that make it to the age of like 90, 100, and like I mind reading a article once that was about this guy. I can't mind how old he was, like 110 or something really
hmm,
old, and it was him just talking about how he's grown up seeing his family pass away, his friends pass away, and then having the next generation also pass away. So everyone he is knowing and known is going,
yeah,
and he's still like just living through it. And but at the same time, I think he has a shit ton of pictures up on the wall that he'll just spend all this time just looking at and going through his memories because that's all he can do.
yeah.
There's not a lot else. Um,
That's one of the prize of life, really. If you don't have any memories of the past, then what's the point living past your prime? Like
mhm.
that's the whole point of going past your prime. If you're not doing anything else, obviously productive, is if you've got the memories and you've got the talking, you might as well
Yeah,
share your experiences.
use your memory and experiences and teach.
That's another
Uh,
subject and all
others.
is a singular person living longer than others. Like moral characters in fiction, they always
Ah,
deal with the bearing, the burden of I've lived 100 years, 200 years, 1,000 years. I've known many lovers, many people, maybe even sons I've birthed, and they've passed away before I've even aged, or even developed a wrinkle, basically.
Yeah.
So, like, would you want to be immortal? That's definitely a question you need to ask yourself. Do you want to live long? Do you have a reason to live long? To be particular, I wouldn't mind just dying randomly at any given point. Like I've not got like huge attachments to life. I do want to do stuff, but there's this one ambition in life, and that's to reach the triple digit.
Yeah.
I want to reach 100 just for that one thing to be like, fuck you all, I'm gone.
About this.
Just die
Yeah.
on the day I turn 100. That's my goal.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be funny. It's definitely a nihilistic perspective in life, but it's something that I've
Well, the
it's
say as
hmm?
nah, just live. You keep speaking.
I was just saying it's definitely a nihilistic like perspective in life, but it's not one that I've made my personality. It's not one I'm like
No.
it's meaningless to do this. Why are you doing this? It's like there's no point. You'll die. It's like I'm happy knowing everything is meaningless. I'm happy knowing that I can enjoy things still,
Hmm.
and I don't force that perspective on other people. And I would respect the same of others to not do that as well. Force their perspectives of life. But what were you gonna say?
Um, I think I don't think I would be one who would want. I think a lot of people sort of be similar boat. They wouldn't actually want to live forever, but it's certainly an interesting topic. Um, the pros and cons, whether you could go through it or not.
I suppose
Um,
if there's the conditions of being youthless, no, eternally youthful or ageless or immortal. Because being immortal means you just can't, you straight up can't die. But maybe with having unlimited age, like you do not age nor die from age, definitely something. Because you can then choose if you want to die or not, like, for life.
the life expectancy as well has been rising over the past
Yeah,
like hundreds of years. So
I wouldn't be
um,
surprised if we becoming. That's the thing, that we're getting healthier in terms of living longer, but our like antibodies might not be that great. Saying that though, we've
mm,
been given a lot of pills in our lifetimes,
mhm.
like battle that sort of dependency. It,
um,
yeah,
aye, it's one hell of a topic.
yeah,
It's interesting. It's definitely a good one to sort of see other people's perspectives of.
yeah.
Um, and it's always good to have deep conversations every now and again. Keep yourself
Oh
a
yeah.
bit grounded, a bit sane.
So it's just it is genuinely an interesting topic to hear and listen about. I've always enjoyed hearing about it. That's why I've always enjoyed deeper episodes of shows and stuff that go like more into like how people's perspectives are, because it's always great hearing a different perspective and how they decide to live and
Yeah.
what they want to live for, and if they have a reason to do stuff. And then it's great. But I don't think I have much else to talk about for this.
No, I think I've got anything else either.
So suppose that wraps us up then.
It does indeed.
Definitely good a good talk there, good discussion. I really enjoyed that. But alas, we must bid farewell to our listeners.
Yep. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.